They say UFC fighters are warriors, but what they don't tell you, the war never ends when the fight is over. It's in the quiet mornings, the lonely flights, the bruised bodies staring back in the mirror. They train harder than anyone else. Yet when the spotlight shines, all the blame falls on them. One loss, and suddenly, the world has an opinion on their courage, their dedication, their very identity. Imagine waking up every day knowing your livelihood depends on being punched in the face, kicked in the ribs, and choked until your vision blurs. And then, on top of that, the world demands perfection, not just physical perfection, but mental, emotional, social perfection. Every fight is a high-stakes audition for survival in an unforgiving industry. Where yesterday as victory is today as forgotten headline, most fans see the glory. They see the highlight reels, the belt, the moments of victory, but behind every uppercut, there's a story few ever hear. The story of a body broken down repeatedly in pursuit of fleeting recognition. The story of mental strain, where anxiety and depression often lurk just beneath the surface, hidden behind a mask of toughness. These fighters are living in a world where mental health struggles are considered weaknesses, yet the reality is that suppression is what costs them most. Take a look at sports burnout, an invisible opponent. Every fighter faces it. It begins subtly, with small injuries that refuse to heal, with early mornings when the body refuses to wake, with the nagging voice that whispers, "Am I enough?" And that whisper grows louder every day. AI and training might track punches, kicks, heart rate, and endurance, but no algorithm can measure emotional exhaustion. Every logged workout, every dietary restriction, every weight cut, these are battles fought against your own body. Weight cuts alone can be brutal. Hours in a sauna, starving, dehydrating, sometimes to dangerous levels, all to meet a number on the scale. And when the fight finally comes, your body has already been through a war. Your muscles ache, your joints scream, your mind clouds, yet the cage waits, unforgiving. And the cameras, they capture your performance, not the sacrifice behind it. Social media has added another layer of pressure. Virality is no longer optional, it's a requirement. Every moment outside the cage is scrutinized, dissected, judged. One poorly timed joke, one missed post, one bad expression in a press conference, and the backlash floods in. Fighters are expected to perform, to promote, to inspire, all while recovering from physical and mental trauma. It's a circus of expectations, and the cost is often invisible to the fans who cheer the loudest. Mental health in athletes has become a training conversation in 2025, but UFC fighters are still navigating an old-school culture amidst depression or anxiety, and whispers start, show vulnerability, and suddenly, the narrative changes. Are they tough enough? Do they have what it takes? Yet ignoring the problem only makes it worse. The fight isn't just against the opponent across the cage, it's against burnout, isolation, fear, and exhaustion behind closed doors. The training is relentless, 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. Striking drills, grappling, strength conditioning, mobility work, recovery sessions. Pain becomes routine. Sleep is precious, but rarely enough. Meals are meticulously planned, often bland, always functional. Your social life, sacrificed. Your hobbies, forgotten. Every choice, every action, meticulously calculated to improve performance by fractions of a percent. And yet, it's never enough. The competition is always waiting, and the injuries, they don't always get the attention they deserve. Torn ligaments, concussions, broken bones, joint deterioration. The fighter continues, often in pain, because one missed fight can mean one lost paycheck, one missed opportunity, one step backward in a career that has no guarantees. Insurance rarely covers the long-term consequences, and rehabilitation is expensive. The body becomes a commodity and the mind a battlefield. Yet there's a paradox. UFC fighters are celebrated for courage and resilience, but rarely for endurance beyond the cage. The world glorifies victory and shames defeat, oblivious to the silent battles waged behind the scenes. Anxiety before weigh-ins, depression after losses, constant scrutiny from fans, coaches, sponsors, and the media. These pressures compound. In isolation, they can feel utterly alone. Even in a room full of people, fighter culture thrives on toughness. But mental toughness is different from suppression. The stigma around therapy and counseling is slowly eroding, yet adoption in MMA is still minimal. A fighter might see a therapist once or twice, but the environment outside often discourages vulnerability. Suck it up, be a warrior. That's the mantra. But warriors bleed, warriors break, warriors doubt themselves, and that's a story few want to tell. Let's talk about the financial side. It's a misconception that UFC fighters are all millionaires. The top few make headlines, but the majority live paycheck to paycheck. Sponsorships are scarce, and a fighter may earn more in one fight than in an entire year of training if they were not yet in the spotlight. And those earnings, not guaranteed. Lose a fight, get injured, or fail to make weight, and the financial stability crumbles. Travel is another hidden toll. Constant flights, changing time zones, adapting to unfamiliar environments, sleep schedules disrupted, diets adjusted, bodies taxed. Yet, they are expected to perform at peak condition on the night of the fight. It's not just physical, it's psychological. Every detail counts. Every minor deviation can cost a round, a fight, or a career. And then there's the family aspect. Relationships are strained. The fighter is away from home for months, missing birthdays, anniversaries, and milestones. Loved ones support, but the emotional toll of distance is immense. Children grow up with their parents' image mostly seen on a screen, not in real life. Partners cope with uncertainty, fear, and the stress of living with someone whose career literally involves risking their health every day. Fighters often speak of the mental preparation for a bout as a war within, visualizations, mindfulness, focus exercises they try to maintain clarity amidst chaos. Yet nothing fully prepares you for the reality of blood, sweat, the roar of the crowd, the shock of an unexpected strike, the jarring feeling of your body being pushed to its absolute limits. And when it's over, win or lose, the recovery is as much emotional as it is physical. Every fight leaves marks, some visible, others invisible, concussions, joint wear, broken bones. But also anxiety, sleepless nights, nightmares, post-fight depression, social media reactions, fan expectations, media scrutiny all act like relentless pressure, and for every highlight reel, there's a fighter who may never fully recover from the mental strain. The cage may be 30 by 30 feet, but the battles extend far beyond it, inside the fighter's mind. For months, even years, the UFC may celebrate the warrior spirit, but the behind-the-scenes reality is grueling. It's a cycle of preparation, performance, and recovery, repeated over and over, often with little external support. Fighters are expected to be gladiators, entrepreneurs, social media personalities, and role models, all while carrying injuries and mental fatigue like invisible armor. And the irony, the harder they push, the more isolated they can feel. But the reality doesn't end there. The constant push for perfection leaves fighters in a precarious position. They're always training, always fighting, yet rarely able to truly recover. Even victories carry weight. Every win is immediately followed by speculation. Can they do it? Again, was this luck? How long will the streak last? The public never pauses to acknowledge the price paid, only the result. And then comes the contract negotiations. For many fighters, the business side of UFC is a minefield, a small misstep, a poorly negotiated clause, and suddenly, years of effort feel undervalued. Bonuses, sponsorship deals, fight purses, they're all heavily contingent. Injuries, losses, or even minor miscalculations can drastically alter financial stability. Imagine pouring your body, soul, and every ounce of effort into a career, only to find the compensation rarely matches the sacrifice. Fans often see the glamour, the flashy entrances, the walkouts, the adrenaline-fueled victories, but what they don't see is the anxiety that shadows each step. The emotional strain of walking into a cage knowing the entire world is watching, judging, waiting for failure. Every fighter experiences at the pit in the stomach, the racing heartbeat, the mental checklist running like a tape loop in their head, and yet, they smile, they pose. They enter the arena as if nothing is wrong. Loneliness is a recurring theme. Even surrounded by coaches, teammates, and media, fighters can feel isolated. Their unique lifestyle separates them from friends and family. Nightclubs, casual outings, even casual conversation can feel foreign. Relationships strain under the weight of time apart and emotional distance. It's a world where a fight can define a week, a month, even a year, and personal connections often come second. And while the physical injuries are evident, the mental scars are harder to detect. Fighters speak in hushed tones about post-fight depression, the emptiness after months of rigorous training, the sense of identity tied entirely to performance, lose a fight. And it's not just the loss of a match, it can feel like the loss of self. The mental resilience required to bounce back is monumental, yet unsupported by an industry that prioritizes toughness over emotional well-being. Concussions and repeated head trauma are perhaps the most alarming. Even fighters who seem invincible often deal with cognitive issues, memory lapses, and mood disorders as a result of their careers. Long-term effects are only now being studied seriously, and many fighters are left to navigate these challenges alone. The physical spectacle is thrilling, but the hidden consequences can be devastating, affecting personal lives long after the spotlight fades. Social media amplifies every struggle. One misstep, one controversial opinion, one unpopular photo, suddenly, a fighter is training for all the wrong reasons. Online bullying, criticism from strangers, the relentless cycle of comparison to other fighters, it all intensifies stress. And yet, social media is a necessary tool. Engagement drives sponsorships, exposure, and income. It's a paradox. A platform meant to amplify their career simultaneously magnifies their anxiety. Mental health awareness in 2025 is training in pro sports. Yet the culture inside MMA is slower to adapt. Some organizations now provide psychological support, but stigma persists. Many fighters fear judgment, rejection, or damage to their reputation. Show weakness, and they'll see you as weak is a mantra ingrained over years. But vulnerability is not weakness, it's survival. The real battle is navigating an environment that rewards invincibility while punishing honesty. Behind every highlight reel, there's a story of sacrifice, early mornings, grueling sparring sessions, rigorous dieting, and isolation. Fighters give up hobbies, social lives, and time with loved ones to pursue fleeting moments of glory. And even then, the recognition may be temporary. One fight, one loss, one headline, suddenly, the world moves on. Glory is transient, pain is permanent. Imagine the psychological preparation before a championship bout, visualization exercises, tactical planning, mental rehearsal of every possible scenario. Yet, in the heat of the fight, the unexpected always comes. An opponent adapts, the crowd roars, adrenaline spikes. The fighter must navigate chaos with precision. One mistake, one lapse in focus, and the consequences are immediate. It's high-stakes problem solving under extreme physical and mental duress. Recovery isn't just physical, it's emotional and mental. Hours of physiotherapy, sleep, nutrition, and psychological decompression. Fighters must reconcile wins or losses, injuries, public reaction, and their own expectations. Many turn to mindfulness, meditation, and therapy, but consistency is hard when the next fight looms. The cycle rarely stops. Train, fight, recover, repeat. The human body and mind were never designed for this constant pressure. Yet fighters endure because there's no other path. The toll extends beyond the cage. Friends and family watch silently as a fighter sacrifices. Normalcy for ambition, birthdays missed, holidays skipped, milestones overlooked. They witness someone they love endure pain that can't be erased. And yet, the fighter pushes forward, motivated by purpose, passion, and the fleeting moments when victory tastes sweeter than any reward. It's a story of resilience, of relentless drive, of quiet suffering. Fighters carry invisible burdens, yet they walk into the cage with courage that few can comprehend. Every strike taken, every fall endured, every limit tested, these are acts of dedication unseen by the public. They are more than athletes. They are human beings navigating an unforgiving career path with heart, grit, and vulnerability. And so, why does it really suck to be a UFC fighter? Because the world sees only the spectacle. They see the highlight reels, the finishes, the belts, the fame. They don't see the loneliness, the mental strain, the physical breakdown, the sacrifices, the constant pressure to be perfect. It's a life of extremes, glory and pain, recognition and scrutiny, triumph and despair, all compressed into moments that last only minutes inside the cage. Yet, despite all this, fighters persist. They endure because fighting is who they are. They chase glory, not for the world, but for themselves, for the sense of purpose, the thrill of competition, the honor of walking into the cage and knowing they gave everything. They are athletes, warriors, and humans navigating the impossible. And if you watch closely, if you look beyond the surface, you'll see their story. The sacrifices, the struggles, the invisible battles that make every moment of victory worth it. So, the next time you watch a UFC fight, remember, the fighter is more than their performance. Behind every punch, kick, and takedown is a story of resilience, courage, and human vulnerability. They fight not just opponents, but fatigue, injury, anxiety, isolation, and expectation. And even if the world doesn't see it, they fight on. Smash that like button if you've ever rooted for the underdog. Which fighter inspires you the most? Drop their name in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got a crazy story coming tomorrow that you wouldn't believe. Because in the world of UFC, every fight is more than a contest. It's a glimpse into a life that few understand, yet one that demands respect, empathy, and awe.